Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Black Baseball Mixtape. I am your host, Cheats. As always, the mixtape is brought to you by the Family Podcast Network. We are in our headquarters at Common House in Richmond, Virginia. Before I go any further, I want to thank everyone for the tremendous support and ask you to do me a favor, do the show a favor. Go rate the podcast, subscribe, share it with your friends, rate us 5 stars if you can. I had 1 4-star rating, and I'm still trying to track that person down. I'm trying to find them. I'm trying to make sure everything is good. I want to make sure I can get that 4 to a 5. And look, if we can't get that 4 to a 5 today with the guests that we have, we ain't gonna ever do it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special guest. I told y'all at the beginning of the year, I had a list of dream guests. This gentleman has been on the list. He's been on my radar for a while. If you don't know, you got to check the stats because we're talking 20 years in professional baseball. We're talking 17 years in Major League Baseball, not to mention the ups and downs and travels and turns, and we're going to get into all of that. We're talking a World Series championship, a no-hitter pitched under his belt, an all-star appearance, and a league-leading 14 Major League Baseball team. That's right, 14. I'm talking to Edwin Jackson himself. Welcome to the mixtape, my brother. I'm so glad to have you on.
Cheeks, what's up, man? I appreciate that introduction, man. You know,
you got to run it all down. That's not even half of it, I'm sure.
I hear you. Hey, the career, so many stops. You could talk forever just on the intro. I'm blessed to be here, man.
Let me ask you this. This is the first question I was thinking about. What's a good first question to ask you? And I'm going to go this way. Everybody knows the history. Everybody knows 14 teams. Right. Is there a team in Major League Baseball that you didn't play for that you would be like, man, I really wish I had got to rock with them?
All of them. Because every time you get to put on a jersey, man, it's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Every time you put on that jersey, man. I mean, there isn't a team that I didn't play for that I would say I didn't want to play for. You know,
right?
You can't take it for granted, man. Getting to put on that jersey, you can't take it. You can't get complacent about it. So it's a luxury to be able to put on. It's a privilege to be able to put on any jersey that you put on, and I always took it that way.
I like it. I like that. That's a good answer. That's very diplomatic as well. But I like it. I like it.
Now, I will say I got to put on that Braves jersey, though. You know, so when you get to put on a hometown jersey, you know, it hit a little different. It hit different.
I hear you. I hear you. Let me start with what's happening and how I think a lot of people are identifying you now, and then we'll go back. We'll talk about your career and your journey. But you are a founding board member of the Players Alliance. And we're always on this site. Hey, we got to keep it front of mind. We want to talk Black baseball. We want to talk about Black participation. We want to talk about Black representation in all aspects from top to bottom. When we hear about the Players Alliance, and I see the great work that the Players Alliance is doing and has done and will continue to do, what should people know about the Major League Baseball Players Alliance that people don't know? And tell us a little bit about your history and how you got involved with it.
Oh, man. I feel like when you hear Players Alliance, it was founded by myself, D. Gordon, and Cameron Maven. I think when people hear the Players Alliance, they should know that we are with the people. You know, we are the people. We come from the same backgrounds that some of these people that we going out and talking to come from. We can relate to some of the same struggles that these people are struggling with. Most of us some country boys, you know, we didn't grow up with a lot of money. So everything that they're going through is super relatable. You know, we done been there at some point, and, you know, we were blessed to make it out of the situation to be able to come back and give back to the community and, keep preaching inclusion, because we feel like anything that's done in baseball that we can do that as a culture, you know.
And how has the response been from? I know from you said you're with the people, and that is absolutely true. I know what the response is from the community. What has the response been in working with baseball officials on such a specific mission? Because it is to root out inequality and add diversity to the game.
I feel like it's been dope, man. It's been dope. MLB, MLB-PA, they've been super on board on what we have going on. And at the end of the day, I mean, when you have a group of Black players like we have, and we going out into the communities, we we know the issues that we dealt with. So when we hear these issues coming from the community, we feel them. We lived it. We ain't going out doing something that we didn't live. We're not going out speaking about stuff that we didn't go through. And I feel like when you've been in there and you lived it, is different when you speak on it because you've been there. When you speak on something that you never had to deal with, I feel like you don't necessarily lose the respect from people, but the response isn't the same because they like, how you ain't go through this. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like going through and telling somebody to live in the hood about hood problems if you've never been in the hood. It's not gonna be reciprocated the same. So the when we go out and we talk, man, I feel like it's felt in our partners. They've been super on board with it, man. So it's been a dope response, and that feels good for us because we know we have some backing.
What's the biggest need you see when it comes to baseball and the community? I have a laundry list of things that I feel like can be or should be kind of either highlighted or emphasized when it comes to our community in the game of baseball. But when you're out there, you're doing the work, you've got a bunch of Major League Baseball players with you. What is the biggest need that you see to get people to relate back to our game?
Man, that's a good question, man. And I feel like it's so many answers to this. But I feel like a lot of it, man, is opportunity. And I know people like they all have opportunity, but everybody doesn't have the same opportunity that's afforded to some other people. You know what I'm saying? If you're not seen and you unheard of, you don't have that same opportunity as your higher prospects that's coming from Perfect Game or any of these other big tournaments that's being seen nationwide. You got so many diamonds in the rough. Like myself, I was a diamond in the rough. I mean, from Columbus, Georgia, I wasn't highly scouted. I had no clue I was getting to the league, but fortunately, I had a couple friends on the team, Nick Long and Steven, they were getting scouted. So I was seen that way, man. And that's what I speak on when I say opportunity, because you got some boys out here can play, but they don't have the opportunity to be seen. Obviously, you have expenses and you have equipment and you have all that, but you can have all that stuff. And if you don't have the opportunity, nobody know about you.
So how do we bring? I've spoken to a lot of folks at MLB who are working really hard, man. They just came off the Dream Series. They're talking about what they're gonna do even this particular year at the All-Star game with Ken Griffey Jr. and Springman. They're like Swingman Classic. But how do we bring more opportunity for what you're talking about? Because what you're talking about, and I know because I see it, is
Right.
gloves are expensive, bats are expensive, travel ball teams. If it's not funded, I can't. As a parent, I can't fund a whole travel ball operation. How, like, is it kind of, do we work more with sponsors? How do we get those opportunities to make sure that kids just have the fundamentals?
Man, hopefully that's where we come in as the Players Alliance, man.
Yeah.
It's so many people that have great organizations already around, and
Mm.
us as the Players Alliance, we don't need to recreate the wheel. It's already there because you have a lot of people that have programs going on. So for us, I feel like it's us to just boost them, give everybody that helping hand that's needed, you know what I'm saying, to uprise what they have going on, and for us to go and tap into these communities and duck off into places that aren't only ducked off into like your Mississippi's, your Georgias, your deep south where people don't really have. I mean, the struggle is real, where we can go in and we can kind of give these kids a chance and hope, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, you can give all the equipment, you can give all that, but we need to help put people in positions to where they can succeed. And for us, I feel like it's going in and we got to be hands on the ground, feet on the ground, and we got to be hands on. And that's what we have with the Players Alliance. We have the powers of numbers, obviously, with the members that we have, but our members and our players, they ready to get into these communities. They
Right.
ready to go head first, and dive in and help, highlight some of these kids in some of these small towns that wouldn't normally be highlighted. Like, for instance, we just did a little project in the Delta in Mississippi. We helped improve fourth fields. We helped some over 600 kids, you know what I'm saying, with uniforms, equipment. We had match money to do so. And that's their first improvement in over 40 years.
Mm.
There's so many people that don't even know about the Delta. And
Right.
we have places like that all over, where we can kind of come in and help imprint something and help pave a way for some of these kids to be seen.
Let me ask you this. If everything goes according to plan, right? Everything with the Players Alliance goes according to plan. Y'all are doing what you need to in the community. Say like 5-10 years from now, what do you hope to see if everything goes well?
I hope to see that 6% of Black players on the field. I hope to see that number improve significantly. To what? I'm not sure, but I want to see that rise. I mean, it need to rise. I want to see Black people on the analytical side. I want to see Black grounds crew. I want to see Black ownership. We want inclusion in all aspects of the game. Because I feel like we have people that are qualified to do so. And I feel like we have people that can get in there and do a great job in all aspects of the game. So I want to see on the field and off the field improve with some of our people in there in those positions.
You cracked the code in a way that I don't think maybe even you realize you cracked the code. You probably realize it. I'm not so sure. But you cracked the code in a way that I think people in general aren't looking at Black participation, especially in the major leagues, as an issue. And what I mean by that is 17 years in pro ball, that's retention, right? And I think we always hear in other sports, oh, the average NFL career might be a season and a half, 2 seasons. The average career in the NBA might be for this. What people, I think, don't fully understand about baseball and what we can get, and I'm very excited about the young crop of players that are getting drafted, that are coming up, that are coming out of these programs, and they're going to be major league players. But there's this crop of veterans that I think is almost like when we say the forgotten middle class. Like if you're not Mookie Betts or Tim Anderson or so forth, there's this middle that seems to be harder. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to be harder to stay in the major leagues. And so I think people don't realize how much that affects our Black players, because they'll be like, every year we get excited about the rookies. I do the same. But it's like, man, is that vet going to be able to hold on with this crop of folks coming up, especially if they're not, you know what I'm talking about, upper echelon type players. And so I guess I'll ask the question this way, because is that even a thought? I know it's been a thought in your mind, like I want to stay every year, but is that a thought for vets that be like, man, it looks like they can get players cheaper? You know what I mean? The baseball contracts, after you get a certain year on the veteran side, gets kind of crazy. So it's like, is that something that Black players talk about, like that retention piece?
I feel like it's important, man. If you coming up as a young Black player and you don't have any Black veteran leadership on the team, who you go to? You know what I'm saying? I was fortunate enough. I mean, my first locker mate was Ricky Henderson and Fred McGriff. So I'm on the team. I'm on the team with legends.
20 years old.
20 years old. Just turned 20. No bass in my voice. No hair on my face. And I get to come up and I got 2 legends. The kids coming up now, who they look up to. If you come to the clubhouse and you're the only Black on the team, who you look up to, who you go to for guidance, Right. You can go to another player, but it ain't the same as if you go into a Black player that you feel like you relate to the same problems you go through. The messages you receive, they're not going to be received the same, And so that is super important, and I feel like it's something that's lost in the game, and that comes when you have a decline in Black players. It take away from a lot of aspects of the game that people don't realize. It ain't just the playing, because 70% of the game is mental. So when you struggling mentally as a Black player, you don't have a Black player to go talk to. You struggle more because you keeping all that information inside. You can't let it out, and I think that's vital. It's a real vital piece to the game.
What's crazy is that because you lived it firsthand. I can see that by looking at the numbers. Real talk. Do you think GMs and ownership and so forth understand how difficult that is if there's a hot prospect African American that may not have any vets on the team? Do you think organizations are even seeing that connection? Because you just hit on something that probably could make a whole generation of young players better, right? If they had that veteran mentorship. But do you think the clubs know that?
I think some do, but it
Okay.
goes back to unless you are a black GM, you don't feel it the same. So
Oof.
seeing it, feeling it is different. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you can see everything, but until you feel it, it hit different. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's something that's getting brought up a lot, nowadays. So if they didn't know, they definitely know now. But you ask Kenny Williams with the White Sox,
Oof.
you ask about it, and his response is going to be, and not saying that nobody else is passionate, because you do have a lot of passionate GMs and owners, but it's not going to be as passionate as somebody who's black in that position trying to convey the same message. And
Absolutely.
that's no knock on anybody. That's just how it is. That's just,
Yeah, no, that's real talk.
you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a subject that's out there now, and it's on the map, and it's being talked about a lot more. Hopefully we can come in and we can switch up some numbers here and there, and we can make a difference in the game and the way it's transcending.
What's the best advice? You mentioned Ricky Henderson and Fred McGriff, your rookie season. What's the best advice a vet gave you about preparing yourself for pro baseball and life?
Man, I think the biggest advice is it's a game of failure. Don't be afraid to lose.
Mm.
Go out there. You're here for a reason. Don't change who you are, but you still have to make adjustments without changing who you are. And that's hard to do for a lot of people because they don't know how to receive that. It's like, well, you want me to change, but you don't want me to change. You know, I look at it as evolving, because we all change. If you ain't changing, you ain't getting better. Just
Mm.
point. So, and we coming out as youngsters, and we have to realize how to transition from being a kid to a grown man. Because once you get to the league, it's a grown man's game.
Mm.
And some of the things that you used to do, you can't necessarily do. But you still have to be able to be yourself and walk into any clubhouse and still know how to walk a thin line between being yourself and not being too much of yourself, if you know what I mean. But I think that's the thing that you have to learn how to do, man. You just have to learn how to be yourself without overstepping any boundaries. And that's hard for a lot of these kids because they feel like they have to change who they are to fit in. And it's not that. You just have to know how to do things different, how to articulate things different. It don't mean changing your voice. You don't have to talk a certain way. I can talk like this, but I can articulate a message to where it doesn't come off as I'm being an angry black man, So I think that's something that's learned throughout the game. And I was taught that at a young age, you don't have to change who you are, but you just have to change the way you do certain things.
I'm sure at times the answer would be yes, but throughout the majority of your career, or even the full length of your career, different places, different circumstances, you probably felt isolated in some ways, being a black pitcher in Major League Baseball. How did you navigate some of, not like you said, not the physical stuff on the field, but how did you navigate some of the mental elements of, just looking around and not seeing people that related to you in a certain way or related to your culture, but still know you had to come out and perform at the highest level that you possibly could? How did you battle through some of those mental challenges?
And I think I kept a by any means necessary mentality.
Mm.
You got to come out and get it done. You're a professional. Nobody want to hear your excuses. And I had to pick up the phone. If I didn't have nobody in the clubhouse, I was afforded opportunity. I can pick up. I can call CC. I can pick up. I can call Dontrell Willis. I can call black pitchers. I could even learn from a David Price who came in under me. But I'm like, man, this boy come in. He got some jelly. Like, let me learn something from him. I was always eager to learn, but I think the biggest part is, man, you pick up the phone and call. If you don't have the resources right there in your clubhouse, I feel like as black men, we have so much pride that we don't want to call anybody. We've been taught, hold everything in, don't show emotions, when actually you got to do just the opposite. Because if you hold everything in, you're gonna sink. You know what I'm saying? We got to express yourself. You got to get it out, whatever it may be. But I pick up that phone and I call, man. If I have something and nobody was in the clubhouse get answered, hey, Trail, I need to holler at you for a second, man.
Right.
You got to use our resources and we got to use our brotherhood that we have around us, to get information. And I did that. But I was lucky to early on in my career, I did have a lot of blacks in the clubhouse. I had a lot of friends I could go to, and that's what I'm saying. When you look at them numbers and you see the decline, a lot of these boys coming up now, they ain't afforded the same luxuries to be able to have somebody in the clubhouse that they can talk to. Because me, I didn't care if it was a pitch or not. If I saw somebody I can talk to, they can relate what I'm going through as a person, then it helped me. Because more times than not, when you're going through stuff, you have off the field stuff
Sure.
that lead to on the field.
Sure.
So it's even deeper than just on field. You had to take a step back and look out what was going on around you that's causing you not to be the same on the field.
And honestly, that's a credit to you as a person, because like you said, black men don't really pick up the phone. And it's not all of us are professional baseball players, but I mean, they could be going to do something with their family and they still don't pick up the phone and call somebody that they can be like, yo, let's talk through this. And we see this every day in our community, that's like one of the biggest challenges in our lives. Like they're internally going crazy, but all they could do is like pick up the phone and call their man and be like, yo, I got to talk to you about something more important than who won the game Tuesday night. You know what I mean? Like, let's
Don't get it
talk through
twisted.
some things.
I had to get to a breaking point before I did it too, so I understand it, because
Right.
I didn't want to feel like I was a burden to anybody. I'm like, man, I don't want to call this man talk about my problems, so I'm guilty of it too, But once you get to a breaking point, what you
You
got to
got
lose?
you
What I'm
got to
saying? Once
do
you
what you
get to
got
a
to
breaking
do.
point, you have to do what you have to do, and that's where the by any means necessary come into play, because you got to suck up pride and you be like, man, I need that voice. I need that voice to hear on the other side of the phone that have been there. They can talk me through some things, or what I'm saying, and they maybe have been through the same problem that I'm going through, and they can give a little advice on how to handle it.
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Let me switch to the opposite end of that spectrum and ask you, what was the happiest time? If you could isolate some of the most joyous times you had on the baseball field, not just the no hitters, but like when you were like, yo, the situation I'm in now just makes me feel excited to go and have a great time at the ballpark.
Man, I feel like it all involved family. Like my debut, I have my family, my mom, my dad, my two sisters in attendance. World Series. My wife, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but my wife now was there. She was pregnant with my first son. My 100th win, I had the whole family there in entirety. So those are for me. When I can have my family to enjoy the moments with me, the moments priceless. Not to discredit any other accolade, but when you have the family around to cherish your moments with you and to cherish the memories with you, it hit different.
Absolutely. And don't look. And I heard, I'm pretty sure this is accurate. You debuted. Your first start was on your birthday.
Birthday.
It had all your people there.
What a birthday. You know what I'm saying? It's like a movie script. It's like
You
something,
can't make it up.
you couldn't make it up. You can't make it up. And then the win against Hall of Fame Randy Johnson, you know, perfect storybook start to a career.
That's fantastic. Let me ask you this before we switch gears. What what was something that you changed routine wise? I'm sure it's a lot, but what did you change routine wise from the first 5 years you were in the pros, and then fast forward to the last, say, 3 years that you did the pros? So you got young 20 to 25-year-old Jack ready to throw every time, to the last 3 years. What would you say was like the biggest change in your approach to the game?
Man, routine by far. I feel like earlier on in my career, I didn't have a routine. I mean, maybe I did some things the same way, not knowing, but routine and having a set routine, not overkill, but certain few things that I do to get myself ready to go. That was big for me. I feel like when I had a routine, I had a segue into the game. You know, I was already prepared. The game was the easy part. And not saying that it's easy, because I done all the work the 4 days in between leading up to the game. Learning how to look at video, learning how to decipher what I want to use, what I don't want to use in scouting reports, learning how to look at a picture and see how we are similar, you know, in our pitching styles and how he pitched to a team and how I can use my artillery to pitch to the team the same way, because we may still have certain pitches that we use differently. So I think it's just how to break down everything with myself and use it to the best of my ability to go out and win.
This is a point of contention about your career, and I want to ask you about this because that is a point of contention in the sense that I don't think this is true. So I'm going to ask you an open-ended question, and you can tell me, how many pitches did you use?
Man, when I started off, I used 2. I had a change. I had a fastball.
That's what I heard. I was like, there's no way he used 2 and pitched 17 years in the pros.
I started off as a 2-pitch pitcher. Later on in my career, as I developed and as I I evolved, it got up to 5 pitches. So I fastball slider is what I was known for.
Right.
I had a changeup, but it wasn't good. Then I learned how to throw a changeup. Then I'm like, okay, I can use this pitch. Then you throw a curveball. Then you mix in a cutter. And then as you get older, these dudes start knowing you, like they study in film like you study in film. So it's like, what else can I throw? But I started off with 2 and I ended up with like 5.
How many years were you a 2-pitch pitcher?
Ooh, I would say the first probably 6 years of my career.
That's crazy.
And
that's crazy.
I would throw the changeup, but nah, it was show pitch. But by the first 6 years, I was a pitcher, and I just try to throw the changeup in there just to get them off my other stuff.
Nah, man, that's awesome. I heard that, and I was like, there is no way that man with 17 years in the pros with 2 pitches. But then again, look, Rivera went to the Hall of Fame with 2 pitches, right?
That's crazy though, because a bullpen as a relief pitcher, you can do that. Most relief pitchers probably only use 2 pitches.
Yeah, but you were not that.
As a starter, man, you gotta have a few pitches. You need at least 3 pitches you can throw for strikes. Have the confidence to throw at any time, because you get predictable. You got 2 pitches that you cut down your options of predictability. Now they can kind of decipher, okay, maybe he's gonna throw this, but you add more to the artillery and the repertoire, you got a little bit more to play with.
Growing up, who was the most exciting baseball players for you? Who did you look up to and want to see?
Man, that's crazy, because I was a position player. I got drafted in the outfield.
Right.
Me being a Braves fan, it was Fred McGriff, it was Dave Justice, it was Andrew Jones, I always wanted to be Andrew. Those kind of people I looked up to. We had TBS, so we see all the Braves games. And I feel like I definitely wanted to be Andrew Jones, because he played center field, I played center field. So I was like, I want to be Drew, I want to be Drew, go out there, have some range, make the plays, throwing people out. But that was who I looked up to as a youngster.
Those are some fun teams. Those are some fun teams.
Dave Justice, Fred McGriff. I knew I wasn't the first base, but I like watching them, just because I knew they was brothers and they was doing their thing with the Braves.
Right. Now I'm in Richmond, Virginia. We had the Richmond Braves, which is a AAA affiliate, and so we would see. But we had, the Ron Gants or Terry Pendletons. They all came through, and again, like you were saying, going to the games and seeing that team with people that look like us, just swag that. Like the 90s Braves has some swag.
Man, so and for a long time, I thought Andrew Jones was like, I thought he was a brother. I thought he was American. I thought he was American. I hear him talk, and I'm like, all right, Andrew Jones, he American. Then I found out I'm curious. So I'm like, okay, he black, but I thought he was American.
It was the U. The U threw me off. When I saw the Andrew with the U, I was like, hold on now.
I never did even pay attention to the U. I just saw Drew. I just saw Andrew Jones. Jones,
But man, that's hilarious.
I told him that story too. I told him, I was like, man, I thought you was from the States. I had a chance to play with him with the White Sox, man. So that's dope. And I talked to him like, man, I always thought you was from America, man. Until I found out. Curious. I'm like, all right, because his English was pretty good. I'm like,
yeah,
he had an accent, but I guess I didn't pay attention to the accent, man. I was young, not even paying attention to everything going on. But he was always one of the hell of a player, man. I used to like to watch him play. He was exciting.
So you've got to play with a ton of players, but you mentioned you got to play with Andrew Jones. You mentioned you got to play with Ricky Henderson, Fred McGriff. Is there someone that to this day still was like, man, I can't believe I walked in a clubhouse and I got to play with this cat.
Man, Ricky Henderson. That's
Woo!
Rick.
Woo!
Ricky name was known around baseball. It didn't matter where you was from. You knew Ricky. I would say him. Then Andrew came after him, but what him? I mean, Fred McGriff. I grew up watching Fred McGriff too. So to have both of them as my locker mates, and sitting right next to him, it's like, man, I'm talking to Ricky Henderson. You playing cool when you around him. Then you get home, and you calling your boys like, bro, guess who I'm sitting next to?
Right, right.
Guess who my locker mates is? I'm next to damn Ricky and damn Fred. You got to play it cool in front of them, though. You can't be
Did
smushed
you?
up
That's
on the
what you did.
TV.
You played it cool. That's what you did. You didn't come in there on some.
Yeah, man, there was different times of baseball set in my life. I still had the Ericsson phone. I was a professional snake player. A lot of people don't know about snake, but on that phone,
Right.
on the game you had at the time, so I was dope at snake because I come to the field, get my workout in, sit in my locker, speak when spoken to, and try to make myself not be seen until it's time to play.
Here's a question that, again, almost like the first question, that you're very diplomatic. You're probably going to be very diplomatic on this one as well, but I'm going to ask anyway because we just had the Hall of Fame voting. Like you said, Andrew Jones made a huge jump. It might be only a matter of time, but it made a huge jump. So think about the EJAC Hall of Fame. Just think about your Hall of Fame, and you had to go in to your Hall of Fame. What hat do you wear?
Man, that's a good question. Hey, that's a good question. Man, if I had to go in with one hat,
But like you can put like the New York patches on all the joints.
man, probably either. I mean, Detroit or Tampa, just because success has some good times there. It'll probably be one of them two. Even though I would want to say, let me wear my Braves hat because I'm a Georgia boy. Or you know what? I'll take that back. It'll be the Dodgers. That was
They
the first.
they drafted you.
It would be. I'll take that back. It'll be the Dodgers because that's where I started my career. Like, I retired on the same day I came in, and go out in the Hall of Fame with the same team you came in. That'll be dope. So I take that back. It'll be the LA hat, that blue.
Let me ask you a couple of very fun, quick hitting questions, but as you can tell, they probably won't be so quick. But let me start with this one. If you had the choice whether to be a Major League Baseball general manager, so you control a club and you're trying to win the World Series, or you had the choice to be commissioner of baseball, which one do you choose?
I choose a GM. I got control over one entity. I could put my attention all into one thing. Commissioner, he got to spread his attention. He got it in baseball, but he got
a lot.
I could put all my energy into one organization and try to take it somewhere.
If you could change one rule about the game, what do you change?
Oh, man. No warnings if you buzz somebody. Hey, we'll be starting brawls all over the field.
Well, look, this is a good question to ask you because my audience gave me a little bit of a hard time this week because I asked a question. I admit I framed the question wrong, but I asked a question about the Ronald Acuna home run trot. You seen the Ronald Acuna home run trot in Venezuela? So I asked a question to my man Xavier Shrugs X. I was like, is it wrong if the pitcher hits him next time? And everybody was like, what are you talking about? Of course it's wrong. Of course it's wrong. I was legitimately asking the question. But as a pitcher, and you see that type of home run trot. Now, and again, there's two sides of this: excitement, joy, letting the people, let Steph cook, let everybody cook. But is there a line there? When you saw that as a pitcher, what do you think?
Man, you know what? That's a tough one, man, because I came up in old school baseball, man. I came up. This is how I look at it. Every home run I didn't give up, I'm probably looking at the ball because I want to see where it lands. So when I'm talking about it later on, I'm like, man, let me see how far he hit this ball. If I turn around and you only 2 steps out the box, because I never seen nobody pimp nothing. Everybody like, bro, you see him pimp? Like, no, I was looking at the damn home
You're
run. I'm
looking at
trying
the
to see
ball.
how far it go. But if I turn around after watching the ball land and you just not coming out the box, then I know you to sit there watching it as long as I done watched it. And that's an issue. That's why I say the warning is about him. You see, I ain't say the warning is about hitting people because I'm like, you miss him? Let's give him a warning. You know, I mean, not give him a warning, but and all my boys position players. But that's why I say it's the game is changing, man. You go to you play winter ball. You have pitchers. Rest in peace, Jose Lima. Jose Lima strike you out. He did his little dance and
Absolutely.
It's a different game at winter ball, and the level of disrespect probably depends on the pitcher. You got some pitchers that don't care about it, some that do. But I look at it like this: like if you pimp me, I pimp you back. Don't be mad.
Right. Right. Because that's what most people told me. Next time up, strike him out, then you can celebrate and do whatever you want to.
If you going extra, you point the bat at me, you talking trash towards me, then I'm like, oh man, that's personal. Like, is this personal? You know what I'm saying? He got something for me. But that's why I say, man, the game, I mean, like I said, everything is going to evolve. The game is going to evolve. People want to see excitement, and that's going to bring the excitement to it. And you will hope that your teammates patrol their players, you know?
That's a good question. Is that a good thing in regards to moving the game forward? Do you think, just a little bit more excited? Do you think that element of brings excitement to the game? Because you mentioned it, and we see it a lot in winter ball. You see it not just in Venezuela. You see it all across winter ball. That there's a lot of excitement and passion, but there's also a lot of stuff that they just don't do in the States.
I think it is, and the only hard part is just when is excitement too much? When is it too much? You know what I'm saying? If I'm wrong, I would say football got the highest ratings out of all the sports.
Sure. Yeah. Easy.
Why is it? It's excitement every play. Every play is excitement.
Yeah.
You got to have some excitement to the game. These kids getting young. Basketball, they celebrate when they shoot the threes. They throw up their threes. They do all football. They have all their little dances they can do. Baseball has to have some kind of excitement, and that's why I say it's just where does the line get drawn, and that's going to depend on the people on the field because you can sit and talk trash off the field all you want to. It's going to depend on that person on the mound if he feel like it was a little too disrespectful and everybody different. Old school players, they didn't. You took too long in the box and they was knocking you down. You know, but you gotta have a little excitement to the game, man. They gonna figure it out though. They'll figure it out. They'll figure out when it's doing too much and when it's not. You know, the game will kind of patrol itself, and you hope it does at least. But you gotta have a little fun, man. You gotta have some fun. Make it a little exciting.
Is there one over your entire career? Is there one or two that you still remember, like a player? Even if it was a player that you were kind of fairly cool with, but is there one where you were like, bruh, don't ever do that again?
I can remember, like I told you, I was watching the ball. I really had too many people coming. They might watch it a little bit, but you give it a 1,000, 1,000, and you run. Maybe you might have like an Ortiz. He might do it a little longer, but it ain't gonna be disrespectful, you know. So I don't think I ever had something that's disrespectful done to me on the mound from a home run.
Okay, so you don't have a list because a whole lot of people, have a list.
I would have known because I probably would have had some protections from hitting somebody if it was. You know, that's the area we came in. You pimp something, or you hit one. I'm gonna do something. You know what I'm saying, to get back. But since I didn't really have any get back stories, I guess nobody really did nothing too disrespectful for.
That's a good point. Who do you like to see now? What players do you look at the game now and say, "Yo, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and check these people out, these players out"?
Man, the list goes on. I feel like, man, this game is young, is fast. You got dudes throwing 100 every pitch almost. Oof. I look at it in the aspect of from pitchers because I mean I'm biased to pitchers. You know, I was a pitcher. I'm biased. Like, man, when I see these guys going out, say for instance, like I see Verlander, he still got it. He's still going out. He's still competing. He just slightly older than me. I see the DeGroms come out. But then I see, like you say, like these Acunas, I see these young boys they hitting that. They hitting that ball. They turning it around, man. The list goes on. I feel like it's so many teams that stack with so many young players that it's fun to watch. And that's what's going to make the game exciting. These boys being able to throw 100 and these boys being able to hit 100 and turn it around. Like you say, think for instance, this last draft class that just came through.
Yep.
Some boys about to be in the league. Some of the Drews and the Tamars, they about to be in the league in a couple years. You know what I'm saying? You know, granted, they stay healthy and everything. And every year I feel like it's starting their draft class is starting to get better, man. So to watch these boys go out and do their thing is dope. Like the Michael Harris, as you come out there, Georgia boy playing for the Braves, come out there, look at his accolades, you know, in a young career. That's exciting to watch. I like watching him, man. It's a young brother doing his thing out there in the ATL and a black player. That city need that. You know,
That's exciting. That's exciting. And I think they locked him up, right? The Braves locked him up. They already took care of him.
They were smart. They were smart. You know, that dude got a chance, you know what I'm saying, to be right there. What Acuna is the face of the organization. You know, so it's good to see a brother doing things in a black city like that because the city needed. You know, give them a reason to want to watch the Braves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me get you out of here on a couple of these final questions. Bro, I really appreciate your time. We're going to have to do this again when the season starts and talk about all the things that the Alliance is doing and what you're doing.
So,
you ever thought about coaching?
Nah, I'll be coaching my little man little league team.
I was going to be the next question because you are a parent. Like, are you a competitive? Like, can you watch your children play? Like, how does this work?
You know what? I can watch them play, but I stand back. I feel like when I'm at these games, man, you watch people who've been in the league. They probably the most calm.
Right.
I feel like
right.
all the rowdy people is the parents that live vicariously through the kids. It's like,
yeah.
man, you telling your kid to do this, you scream at them. Could you do that? I feel like most people that's been in a position, they know how hard the game is, so they chill. I'll help coach the team. I'm help coach my little man team this year, Mark T, and he used to play too. We played together with the White Sox, so he gonna be the head coach. I'll be assistant, man. I like the kids, man. I'm with the kids. Now I can do a special assistant job. You know, I'm open. Anybody out there, I'm open for a little special assistant role, but coaching, I don't know, man. I feel like if I'm gone all the time, I would just keep playing.
Right.
Well, gone, and this is the time where the family, these kids, man, I've been gone over half of their lives, and you know these are the important times of their years that they're having. So it's dope that I'm here, and you know I get to be a father, I get to be a dad.
I'm gonna follow up on that because what is the best part about being a dad for you?
Man, the best part of being a dad is being able to you know teach them and get them ready for life because they don't know what's coming for them. You know, you see ahead, you can see down the road a little bit, and we've been through a lot. I get to prepare them for what's ahead of them. You know, they're fortunate enough to be in a different position than I was in, and you know, I told my son the other day, like, hey man, you got a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You got a little bit. You're gonna be a target when you on the field. Just because of your last name, just because of who I am, they gonna come at you. You got to be ready to handle it. You know, you got to be able to take whatever come with it.
Well, do the kids know that like they know you as dad? Do they know like my dad was a pro player? People might know, but like because they like you could tell any of the other kids, right, to do this, and it's like, oh, it's coming from a pro. You tell your kid, they'd be like, Dad, go ahead on somewhere.
I feel like in that aspect, my little man, he don't want to hit too much from me, so I let other people. But I feel like they just coming to the age where they start to go, they get to the school and they get around, and people starting to tell them like, "Oh, your dad is famous," and I don't think I'm famous, but so I feel like over the last 2 years, they seeing their friends ask questions and they trying to come put two together, like, this who you really are, you know what I'm saying? Because like,
you're someone outside of dad.
Yeah, like my daughter asked me the other day, like, "Are you famous?" You go, "No." "Do I feel famous to you?" And she's like, "No." I said, "Well,
there you go.
Right there. You can't hide it forever." But man, we keep a loose house. Like we keep a super loose house. I stay grounded. I keep my kids grounded. And anybody that come in my house, they probably like, man, they some fools. Cause that's who I am. You know what I'm saying? I got a nice group of friends. I got a close niche of friends who do a great job, and everybody get it on everybody. They don't care because I'm in the league. It don't matter about the money. It don't matter about position in life. Everybody gonna check everybody if we get out of pocket, and that's what it kept me grounded through all these years, having a close group of friends and family that I can go to that's gonna put me in my place if I'm wrong. You know, I don't want
There
to be
you go.
surrounded by yes men. I want somebody gonna tell me the truth.
So you're a pitcher. You faced a ton of hitters, but if you could face any hitter in the prime of their career that you haven't faced, so living or dead, in the prime of their career, who would you face?
Oh, Jackie. Just to say I pitched to Jackie Robinson, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Pitched to Barry Bonds, I done pitched, and to that point, it was probably Barry because that's probably the greatest hitter that I done pitched to. But to pitch to Jackie, you know, just to say, you know, I'll pitch to Jackie Robinson. That'll be dope. The man who allowed my career to be where it is today. Now we get a chance to, you know, recreate a moment where I get to pitch to him.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope. Finishing up, man, I really, really appreciate everything you're doing now. And obviously with the Players Alliance, everything you've done throughout your career. Really, really, really an honor to talk to you. And we are going to do. We'll set it up. We'll do it again when the Alliance has big things happening, especially during the course of the season. Please let us know. We'll try to promote it. Let everybody know where they can follow the Players Alliance. They can follow you. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, he is one of the most interesting men. He's one of the most interesting follows I've followed while he's doing all kinds of things.
We got the Players Alliance on Instagram. You can email us at playersalliance.org. Anything you want, any information you need, it's on our website, theplayersalliance.org. But yeah, follow us on RG, man. We got some dope things in store for this year coming up, man. It's gonna be impactful, man. And like I say, we go into the community. We ain't just sending money. We ain't just sending equipment. We're not just, you know, doing Zoom calls with kids. We're there in person, you know, and I feel like when you're there in person, it hit different, you know, because they see you. We older, but we still young enough to where they can relate to us. And when they can't relate to us, we bringing our youngsters coming up in the game, and they can definitely relate to them. But man, yeah, we're gonna be out in the streets and in the communities, firsthand and right there in physical presence.
We gotta leave it there. Jack, I really, really appreciate it. You made look, one of my dreams came true on the dream list for 2023, man. So I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Black Baseball Mixtape. As always, like I said, subscribe, follow, share. Until next time, we see it.
Let's get Cheeks to that 100,000 followers. Let's go.
Or I'll just take 3. If I get 3 new ones.
Hey, say 1,000. Say start one at a. I ain't got a big following. I got a few, but for IG, my following ain't big, man.
I'll take 3 new follows, bro. 3 new follows, I'm good. Oh, last thing, because I know you're a music guy. What are you listening to?
Man, I'm listening to everything, man. I got a little, for y'all don't know no Jabbo, check out that Jabbo ENT, man.
There you go. Is this complete game entertainment? This is all.
Man, you know, Jabbo ENT, yeah, a little complete game entertainment artist.
There you go.
I got some Future in there, I got some Jeezy in there, man. You know what? I listen to everything, man. If you make a hit, you make a hit. I don't care what genre it is. If you look at my playlist, it's everything in there, man. I just like music. I feel like when you make good music, it doesn't really matter the genre. We all have been out and hear something that we don't know and be like, dang, what's that? Like, let me Shazam that. It ain't something I normally listen to, but you know, got some little Future in there, man. You got the Metro in there. You got everything, man.
All right. We'll leave it there, but we'll talk playlist next time. I really appreciate it.
Gotcha. Hey, it was a pleasure being on, man.